Welcome to the MLS Show. It is me, Baz, here for the results reaction video that I do each week. Gonna do every game up until Sunday morning kind of thing. There's games tonight and me and Ped will be probably reviewing them from the studio when we record on Monday. But let's get straight into all the weekend's action. So the first game of this week's Major League Soccer action saw New York Red Bulls take on FC Dallas. Red Bulls haven't had a great start to the season at all. Lost quite a few games. Been really disappointing, but they got a great result last week against Orlando City, turning that game around. Done really well in that game. And followed it up this week with a very impressive 4-0 win over Western Conference leaders FC Dallas, who've been brilliant. Dallas are a bit of a strange one, really. They look absolutely marvellous one week, and then they've been a little bit weird the next week. Got tonked 5-0 at Houston Dynamo, which was a strange result still to this day. Right, okay, let's get into the game. Red Bulls, like I say, got the result last week. Obviously built on confidence this week. Started off really well. Almost got in front through Bradley Wright Phillips early on. He looks like the weight of the world's been lifted off his shoulders now after that brace against Orlando City. He got in, but Jesse Gonzalez, who's back in the starting lineup, made a good block on him early on. But Red Bulls were doing all of the pressing, and they took the lead through a set piece. Sasha Kleshin clipping it to the back post. Salzizo knocked it across, and Lloyd Sam tapped in from close range to give Red Bulls the lead. Gonzalez had to make a couple of good saves, had a couple of hairy moments as well. And it went in at 1-0, down Dallas into the second half. And Gonzalez, who I really like as a goalkeeper, he was a young keeper, very impressive last year in MLS, came rushing off his line, and I'm not sure he needed to. I think the defender had it covered, comes rushing off his line, makes a little bit of a hash of the clearance. Lloyd Sam has a fantastic knock back to the goal, first time shot back, comes back off the crossbar, and Sasha Kleshin runs in and diving heads it in to make it 2-0. I had him down to score on the MLS Show League, so I'm quite pleased with that. He knocked it in for 2-0. And then Grella goes on a fantastic, made a fantastic run into the box, arriving late, lovely whipped in cross, and there's the bullet header for 3-0, and it's game over. And Oscar Pareja stood on the side looking totally bemused while Jesse Marsh is giving it the little, he wasn't really dancing, but in my head he was giving it the little bit of a boogie. Marsh was loving it. And then Philippe rounded it off with a wonderful strike into the top corner to make it 4-0. So really impressive result for Red Bulls. Not surprised. Always thought once they found their feet, they would get their rhythm going again, and that's exactly what they've done. 2 big wins in a week will have made them feel a lot better, and I expect them to charge back up that Eastern Conference table. Now, Dallas need to dust themselves down, get back to doing what they do very well. But a couple of Tonkins on the road now, and it's something that Oscar Pareja is going to have to look at. But this one ended New York Red Bulls 4, FC Dallas 0. Okay, moving on to the other New York side. This game played on Saturday night. New York City 3, Vancouver Whitecaps 2. Loads of goals in this one. New York needing a win at home. Haven't won, remember, since day one. The first game away at Chicago Fire, they won 4-3. Not won since. Lots of draws. Drew on Wednesday night with Montreal Impact, conceding a late goal to Dominic Ajoro in the 90th minute, which was a real disappointment for Patrick Vieira's men. But this was a big game for them. Vancouver Whitecaps, who've been a little bit hit and miss, looked brilliant at one time, and the next week you watch them, they're all over the place. But New York couldn't have got off to a worse start. Just Saunders, what are you doing in goal? Ball played back to him, just put your foot through it, son. Takes too long, tries to clear it, gets charged down, and Octa Rivero is there to side foot home off Saunders, high into the net to give Whitecaps the lead. Just not the start Vieira wanted. But his side were level when the ball broke, edge of the box, little slide rule pass into David Villa, and what a cool finish. The man you want on the end of those chances. He wrapped it into that far corner to tie things up for New York City. And then Vancouver Whitecaps, in all their wisdom, they concede the corner, which of course can happen, but their wisdom being that they allow Pirlo to pick out David Villa, who was unmarked, only scored 50 odd times for Spain, I think. Picked them out, either on the side, scissor shot back into the corner of the net to give New York City a 2-1 lead. Why wouldn't you pick him up? It's beyond me. He's the most dangerous player on the pitch. To give New York City a 2-1 lead. Then there was, into the second half, a penalty awarded to Vancouver Whitecaps. Was it a penalty? It was a foul. It was, don't get me wrong, there was minimum contact on, I can't even remember who it was, but he dragged the hand, he goes down. It's hard to tell whether he was right on the line or he was in the penalty area. I've got a feeling it was right on the line. The referee awarded a penalty. Balanas stepped up. Keeper makes a save, Saunders, and spills it. He gets down, does really well, but somehow lets it out of his grasp. Balanas carries on his run and sweeps the ball home for 2-2. And you're thinking, here we go again for New York City if they've blown another lead. But I've seen a stat when they've scored 3 goals, they've always won the game. And that's what happened. Tommy Mack, there was a good little build-up. Pirlo, ball got played wide to Tommy Mack. He cut it back superbly well, and Mendoza lashed home at the near post to give... chucked it into the goalkeeper's near post, coming in onto it to give New York City a 3-2 victory. A massive, massive win for Patrick Vieira's men. Like I say, without a win since week 1 of the season, they'll be feeling a lot happier with themselves after this one. Big, big win for them, and let's see if they can now start to climb that table. Okay, on to Montreal Impact against the team I've been so impressed with this season, Colorado Rapids at the Saputo Stadium. And this one ended 2 apiece. Colorado are not going anywhere. They are there for the season. Pablo Mastroeni has got them worked up, ready to play, and they're doing it every week. They've been really, really good. Montreal, excellent last season. And they've looked really, really good this season, to be honest, as well. Got a good shape about them. Didier Drogba in there again. 3rd start in a week was making a nuisance of himself, and scores a wonderful Drogba-style free kick, edge of the box. That flat trajectory over the wall. Keeper didn't have a chance. Ahmed Math into the back of the net to give Montreal the lead. But Montreal stayed in there. They hung in there. Joro could have added the second before half-time. It was quite a good game, actually, end to end. But Colorado came out quite bright after the restart, and Shells and Gashi scoring at the near post, finished it really well. My little boy trying to come and get involved. Finished it really well to make it 1 each. And then Montreal went back in front through Tissot. What a goal. Edge of the box, onto his ball got cut back. Tissot running across, left foot. Wonderful strike from the edge of the box. Give McMath no chance. The ball rocketed into that bottom corner to restore Montreal Impact's lead. And you're thinking, they will go on from here, but no, fair play again to Colorado. They stuck at it, and Berling levels things up inside the penalty area. Close range makes it 2 apiece. Kevin Doyle was on hand as well. He might have tucked it in if Berling didn't. Both had chances to win it. Montreal will probably be a little bit disappointed they didn't get the advantage. Press home for those 3 points after leading twice, but Colorado's showing they have got durability this season and doing a fantastic job of it to get a really, really good point at Montreal. It ended Montreal Impact 2, Colorado Rapids 2. Okay, moving on. Philadelphia Union 1, San Jose Earthquakes 1. It was this was quite an even game, really. From what I saw of it, I thought Philadelphia started the game quite brightly. San Jose have been impressed with this season. Dominic Kinnear's men, have looked like they're a really tough unit. Got good organisation in there, and of course in Wondolowski, he can always get goals, can't he? Him and Quincy Amarikwa up front are always a handful for everybody. And I think they'll do quite well this season. Philadelphia, they've got better and better. They've had some impressive results winning away at the likes of Columbus Crew, but coming to this one, and I think they'll be disappointed they weren't able to close this out. Took the lead through Chris Pontius, corner coming in, lovely header, flicked it into the far corner to give Philadelphia the lead. And we're doing really, really well. You know, we're pressing for that second goal. They had to get blocks in and stuff, because San Jose were always in the game. But of course, they went down to 10 men when Godoy is that how you say his name, was sent off about the hour mark, and he's done well to stay in the game. I think Philadelphia wasted opportunities after that. They had opportunities to really make that extra man count and didn't take advantage of it. When you're playing against 10 men, it becomes difficult because they just put 2 banks of 4. You've got to try and, if you get those opportunities, you've got to kill them off. And he had chances to kill them off and didn't take them. And they live to regret it, really, because Simon Dawkins in the 83rd minute with a mazy run for the goal. Ball comes out to him, goes to shoot, drops the shoulder once. 2 players go one way, drops the shoulder again, shifts it onto his left foot and just steers it beautifully into the far corner net past Blake. And, San Jose get a great point. 10 men away, on the road with 10 men to pick up a point is excellent for them. I think Philadelphia Union would be really, really disappointed. Like I said, they've had some good results this season. Barnett, I thought, was really impressive in the first half. But they will be disappointed that they haven't been able to close this one out. But it ended Philadelphia Union 1, San Jose Earthquakes 1. Okay, Seattle Sounders against Columbus Crew. This ended Seattle Sounders 1, Columbus Crew 0. Jordan Morris, 88th minute winner, separating the two sides. This was a very, very even game. Both teams had, I think it ended with 50% possession each, 16 attempts at goal each. You can't get tight in that, can you? But Steve Clark in the Columbus Crew goal was the busier of the 2 goalkeepers for sure. Ethan Finlay wasted Columbus Crew's best chance in the first half. Expect him to score those to his right foot as well. Just sweep it into the net and he put it wide. And it was, I suppose it's been a little bit like that for Columbus Crew so far this season. They've bubbled underneath. They've looked like they're about to ignite and haven't been able to do it so far. I do expect them, that another side, that I've say it each week, they've got a lot of firepower, so I expect them to get better and better. But, in this one, it just wasn't to be. Camara, Higuain, Merrim, Finlay, those kind of players have always got goals in them. It just didn't happen. At the other end, Dempsey was prompting and probing. Morris had a couple of chances to score before he actually did. But you're getting in towards the 87th, 88th minute, and looked as though it was, quite even. It looked as though it was going to peter out to a 0-0 result. And a ball corner comes into the box, it bounces around, and Jordan Morris lashes home from inside the 6-yard box to give Seattle Sounders the victory. His 3rd goal in 3 games. Started now, he's got that weight off his back. He's really looking like he belongs now. I think he's thriving on being the striker up there, having Dempsey in a withdrawn role, and he's starting to make people forget a little bit about Obafemi Martins, who I thought Seattle would miss a lot this season, and he's doing a good job at it, And I think Jordan Morris, he's got the physique, he's got the athleticism to do well, and he knows where the net is. Great attributes to have in the centre forward. Great attributes for Seattle to have, obviously, of course, with the likes of Dempsey in there as well. But I was made up to see Morris score. Glad for the kid. Hopefully he can continue to keep that scoring form going. Like I say, I think Columbus Crew will improve. Good result for Siggy Smith's men. This ended Seattle Sounders 1, Columbus Crew 0. Moving on then, Chicago Fire 1, DC United 1. This one's probably a fair result. Terrible weather conditions in Chicago. The rain coming down in floods almost kept a lot of people away. I think Chicago were the better side in the first half, I feel. I feel as though they probably didn't make as good a use as their possession deserved, I think, in the first half. But second half, DC United came out and really took the game to Chicago and ended up dominating the possession and actually had more chances. It wasn't a game of loads of chances, but it was certainly an interesting game. Chicago Fire scoring, Campbell coming in and scoring his first goal in MLS, sneaking in off a free kick, tucking it past the keeper to give Chicago Fire the lead. It was, like I say, it was quite a conservative game. Both teams quite evenly matched. Igbonanike had chances. Just couldn't get the second goal. Chicago really they probably would have killed off DC. I think Ben Olsen will have had a little bit of a pop at his players at half time because they come out certainly in a more with renewed vigour. We'll say in the second half, really took the game to Chicago Fire in the second half. Acosta I thought was brilliant in that second half. Lucho Acosta was absolutely brilliant in that second half, and he's involved in the goal, gets the ball and curls in a wicked ball towards the goal, bending in, and Patrick Nyarko gets the bullet header into the back of the net. So difficult to defend them crosses curling in towards the keeper, and he levels things up for DC. And they had chances to win it, they had opportunities. Nyarko again went close later on with a shot that fizzed just wide. When it looked as though he was going to score. Chicago had a breakaway right at the very end. It was a fast breakaway, and they almost nicked it on the break. But I suppose on the balance of things in the end, even though DC did shade that second half, I think a fair result was probably the result we got, which was Chicago Fire 1, DC United 1. Okay, New England Revolution against Orlando City. This one ended 2-2, as it did in it was the Citrus Bowl the other week, now it's the Camping Ground. It ended 2-2 when the teams met over a fortnight ago in Florida. It ended 2-2 again last night. Let's talk about the Revs' first goal. Some shocking defending from Orlando City. Breck Shea getting done. It was a crossfield ball. I think it was Lee Wynn hit the crossfield ball out for Gundes. Does Shea on the inside, comes inside. Mateus Hines with a half-hearted challenge in the box, and Fagundes wraps home the ball off Mateus into the roof of the net to give the Revs a lead inside 7 minutes. And then Bendix had to come up big, couple of big saves at 1-0, a couple of massive blocks by Seb Hines and Rafa Ramos to stop Orlando City going 2 down. Orlando then came into the game a little bit. Kevin Molino should have scored. Nocerino misses an absolute sitter at the far stick. Ball comes over Larin. Great cross from Ramos. Larin goes in. It drops to Nocerino. He's all on his own. Good touch. Sets himself. Just pass it into the net. Lashes it high and wide to, should have leveled things up. But Orlando City did get level, and it was Kevin Molino lashing home at the far post to level things up at 1 each. Into the second half, I think the Revs were probably the better side. I think they looked a little bit more cohesive than Orlando did at times. Couldn't get enough people close to Larin, and Kyle Larin looked a little bit off it, if I'm being perfectly honest and even being critical. Darwin Seren was lucky not to get sent off. Put a couple of rash challenges in after he'd been booked, enough for Agent Heath to have a word with him, tell him to use his head because he was clattering into people. The referee actually thought he handled it quite well. But the Revs made the change, brought Agudelo on, and he scored a great goal, getting to that near post. Good ball in from the right-hand side. Agudelo getting to the near post, sweeping it high into Joe Bendix's net to restore the Revs' lead. And Orlando pressed, but it got to kind of the 88th, 89th minute, and you're thinking, have they still got it? But this team, one thing this team does, it goes right to the end in every single game. You've seen it from day one against Real Salt Lake, and they are still doing it now. And he went right to the end. And Carlos Rivas levelled things up right at the end for Orlando City. I think it was Larin put it across, Rivas getting there. At first, I thought he just lashed it in, but it looks like the defenders kicked it against him. Anyway, it flew high into the net to make it 2 apiece and give Orlando City a good point. You know, and it was only right. The Reds scored a late equaliser in the Citrus Bowl stroke camping ground the other week. It was only right that Orlando City give them their payment back with a late goal to tie it up at 2 apiece. So a fair result in the end. I think the Revs deserve to win, but I'm happy that it ended 2-2, obviously being a bit of an Orlando City fan. But loving everyone in MLS. But it ended New England Revolution 2, Orlando City 2. Okay, the final game of this results review video was Real Salt Lake against Houston Dynamo. Finished Real Salt Lake 2, Houston Dynamo 1. Real Salt Lake continuing their impressive start to the season. They have been, I've been really, really impressed with them. They've been excellent. But again, they were without João Plata, who has been excellent for them this season. Creativity, he's fantastic, scores goals as well. But this victory, proved that they can play without him. Moved Real Salt Lake up to second in the Western Conference with their 5th victory in 8 games, which was, fantastic for them. A quite even first half. Both teams had opportunities. Giles Barnes was always a threat for Houston Dynamo. Morales had a couple of chances for Real Salt Lake. But it was Houston Dynamo who struck first after half-time. Miranda's shot, taking a deflection off Olave's arm and deceiving Rimando in the goal. And Houston, they started off really, really well, haven't they? But just one victory against the 5-0 win against Dallas, the only game Houston Dynamo have won this season. Lost 5 games out of 8, which is so disappointing for Owen Coyle's men. But like I say, they took the lead via a deflection from Miranda. Jordan Allen levelled things up for Real Salt Lake it was fed by Glad, runs in, lashes home into the roof of the net. It was a brilliant finish, to be honest with you. And that was all that Real Salt Lake needed. They just needed that little bit of a boost. They got it there through Allen. And once they got that goal, you felt there was only ever going to be one winner, and that was Real Salt Lake. And they got that goal after 70 minutes. It was Damar Phillips with the cross and Movsisian at the near post, turning it home for Real Salt Lake. And, I think they were good value to take the lead at that moment, and good value to push on, but they still needed an absolutely unbelievable save from Rimando at the end to play in his 400th game in MLS, and the double save was just incredible. I think Miranda hits the first shot, he dives, pushes it onto the inside of the post, it comes out to Wenger. He lashes it, thinks he's scored, the whole goal to aim at, and Rimando throws himself at it, takes the ball in the face, but keeps his goal intact. It was an incredible double save, and it was as good a double save you'll ever see, and it was worthy of winning any game, and that's exactly what it did do. Morales had a chance to make it 3-1 at the end, dropped the shoulder a couple of times, defenders come across, got a great block in before he could make it 3-1 to Real Salt Lake, but it was fitting that Nick Rimando's double save won the game for Real Salt Lake on his 400th appearance. This one ended Real Salt Lake 2, Houston Dynamo 1. So there you have it. There's my results reaction video for all the games that have been played so far. Me and Ped will be back in the studio. We'll be looking at Portland Timbers game tonight, as well as Sporting Kansas City and LA Galaxy. We'll be doing some reviews on them from the studio tomorrow. Don't forget to subscribe to us. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at the MLS Show. Give us a like on Facebook. Share the video. Tell your mates about it. Get everybody involved. And I'll catch you next time on the MLS Show. Second half, and Gonzalez, who I really like as a goalkeeper, was a young keeper, very, very impressive last year in MLS, came rushing off his line, and I'm not sure he needed to. I think the defender had it covered, comes rushing off his line, makes a little bit of a hash of the clearance. Lloyd Sam has a fantastic knock back to the goal. First time shot back, comes back off the crossbar, and Sasha Kleshin runs in and diving heads it in to make it 2-0. I had him down to score on the MLS Show League, so I'm quite pleased with that. He knocked it in for 2-0. And then Grella goes on a fantastic, made a fantastic run into the box, arriving late. Lovely whipped in cross, and there's the bullet header for 3-0, and it's game over. And Oscar Pareja stood on the side looking totally bemused while Jesse Marsh is giving it the little... He wasn't really dancing, but in my head he was giving it the little bit of a boogie. Marsh was loving it. And then Philippe rounded it off with a wonderful strike into the top corner to make it 4-0. So really, really impressive result for Red Bulls. Not surprised. Always thought once they found their feet, they would get their rhythm going again. And that's exactly what they've done. 2 big wins in a week will have made them feel a lot better, and I expect them to charge back up that Eastern Conference table. Now, Dallas need to dust themselves down, get back to really, really well. Almost got in front through Bradley Wright Phillips early on. He looks like the weight of the world's been lifted off his shoulders now after that brace against Orlando City. He got in, but Jesse Gonzalez, who's back in the starting lineup, made a good block on him early on. But Red Bulls were doing all of the pressing, and they took the lead through a set piece. Sasha Kleshin clipping it to the back post. Salzizo knocked it across, and Lloyd Sam tapped in from close range to give Red Bulls the lead. Gonzalez had to make a couple of good saves, had a couple of hairy moments as well. And it went in at 1-0, down. Dallas into the sea, turning that game round. Done really, really well in that game. And followed it up this week with a very, very impressive 4-0 win over Western Conference leaders FC Dallas, who've been brilliant. Dallas are a bit of a strange one, really. They look absolutely marvellous one week, and then they've been a little bit weird the next week. Got tonked 5-0 at Houston Dynamo, which was a strange result still to this day. Right, okay, let's get into the game. Red Bulls, like I say, got the result last week. Obviously built on confidence this week. Started off really... Welcome to the MLS Show. It is me, Baz, here for the results reaction video that I do each week. Gonna do every game up until Sunday morning kind of thing. There's games tonight, and me and Ped will be probably reviewing them from the studio when we record on Monday. But let's get straight into all the weekend's action. So the first game of this week's Major League Soccer action saw New York Red Bulls take on FC Dallas. Red Bulls haven't had a great start to the season at all. Lost quite a few games. Been really, really disappointing, but they got a great result last week against Orlando City.